Chris Mackowski for Emerging Civil War. It is the 28th of May, 2019, 155 years ago today here at this spot, Hawes Shop. The Union and Federal cavalry clashed. Both had a lot at stake, and both are going to walk away thinking that they are winners. As Grant has continued to move south, he has crossed the Pamunkey River. He needs to find out where Robert E. Lee is, and so he's going to send his cavalry out to find them. Up to this point, the Union cavalry has underperformed in the campaign. Phil Sheridan went off on his gallivant south. They did get Jeb Stuart at Yellow Tavern on the 11th of May, but otherwise he has really underperformed, kind of a disastrous raid in a lot of ways, and he's left the Union Army blind and deaf. He's starting to redeem himself in this movement south toward Richmond. And again, Ulysses S. Grant doesn't particularly care about Richmond, but he cares about drawing Lee out into battle. At this point, though, Lee has gotten the inside track to Richmond. Coming down from the North Anna River along the Telegraph Road, he gets himself situated on the south bank of the Totopotomoy Creek. He's got himself some good defensive positions. Because of his late start on the 27th, though, he doesn't start to get there until the 28th, so he needs to buy a little time. He's going to send his cavalry out to buy that time and to find out where the Federals are exactly, hoping that he can draw the Federals toward him and this strong defensive position he has staked out. That's exactly what Ulysses S. Grant wants to do. Remember, he has said, "Where Lee goes, you shall go too," to George Gordon Meade, commander of the Army of the Potomac. And so they're going to try to circle in on each other and really focus on another fight. Hopefully Grant getting that open field battle that he's looking for, and Lee hoping he can stick behind these strong defenses. What happens here at Hawes Shop is really a meeting engagement between these two cavalry forces as they're trying to once again make contact with each other's armies. Off to my east is the actual intersection of Hawes Shop, named after John Haw, who had a little machine shop there up until 1862, at which time he sold his materials to the Tredegar Iron Works in Richmond. That intersection's got 5 roads, so it's key to Grant's ability to move and maneuver. You might remember during Stuart's ride around McClellan in 62 on the Peninsula Campaign, Hawes Shop was also very important to Stuart and his ability to maneuver. So history, again, sort of repeating or rhyming here just 2 years later. As the Federal cavalry gets into that area, they're going to start moving thisward, a little westward. That's where they're going to run into Confederates. Wade Hampton is in charge, at least nominally, of the Confederate cavalry at this point. Lee has not been able to pick a successor to Jeb Stuart. Hampton's got seniority. Fitz Lee's also in the running. Concern of nepotism there, so Lee really hasn't made his final choice. Fitz Lee's going to be in the vanguard of this Confederate advance, and so that's going to just complicate things pretty significantly. But Hampton will be in charge here. The two cavalry forces are going to meet at about 10 o'clock in the morning. They're going to be fighting mostly dismounted throughout the day, back and forth across these fields behind me. Finally, things are going to start to turn at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon when Alfred Torbert's division is going to get here, and they're going to start to push forward, and that's going to really swing the tide of battle. George Custer is going to make an assault right up the center. His band's playing Yankee Doodle as he goes. Again, his troopers dismounted, but that push through this area right here where we're at, driving westward in that direction, is going to turn the tide of battle. So I really give a lot of credit to the Union cavalry here, because this is where they're finally starting to get their act together. I don't give any credit to Phil Sheridan for that whatsoever, though. I think he is one of the most overrated people in the entire Civil War. Great self-promoter, that's why we tend to remember him. Terrible at his job. I think absolutely terrible at his job. But he's got really strong division commanders who really are able to kind of keep the Federals in this fight and eventually turn the tide of battle. They're going to own the ground at the end of the day, so they're going to claim victory. But Confederates are also going to have something to crow about. They've basically bought an entire day for Robert E. Lee, which gives Lee the 28th to fortify his position there along Totopotomoy Creek. Had Grant been able to come straight at him that day, things would have turned out much differently. But now Lee has got that time that he needed. So both sides having something that they can take to their credit. Behind me here at Hawes Shop, you can see a monument. 27 Confederate dead remain on this ground. For whom do those bells in the background toll? They toll for thee. But this is hallowed ground we're standing out, and you can see an actual flag in the background. There's a marker here. Down the road is the former location of Studley, which was the birthplace of Patriot Patrick Henry. So lots of cool stuff to see here at Hawes Shop. Really glad to have you with us here as we're tracing the Overland Campaign 155. For Emerging Civil War, I'm Chris Mackowski.